Today we have a Dyson DC59, and the customer says that the on-off switch is not working, the button's not working. We just have a cursory look. It's all plugged in, all ready to go. On the depression of the button, there is a blue flashing light on the base, so you would appear that the battery and that is okay. So we really need now to check to see whether we have any volts on the battery. Like most of these pieces of kit, this one, can't remember how that comes off now. That's it. Has safety screws, which are these. You can see I've got a vast range of adapters.
So tell them which one you're using.
So the one that seems to fit this is a micro Phillips, which is a standard Phillips head, but very, very small, very, very fine.
Just mention all the screw is not supposed to be different screw. You mentioned that the screw is supposed to be different.
Yeah, they're all slightly different.
Just explain
So
the second screw down there.
just undo the two retaining screws so that we can get at the battery. Remove the two screws, then the battery then slides out. While we've got the battery out, we can do a quick test on the motor connections.
What test are you going to do?
So you need to do a continuity test to see if you've got continuity, which would indicate that the actual motor is operative. The switch is a push switch that operates onto the battery unit. So there is no on-off switch actually in the handle. It's all incorporated in there. So we need the meter on ohms. And now across to the motor connection. 2.2 ohms, so the DC motor that's in the vacuum cleaner, that's okay. We now need to test the battery. So come out of ohms, go on to DC. And now check the battery. There. Now you have to depress the switch. Oh, that's strange. We've got no volts, but that's flashing blue. I'll come down to a lower range. I think what it is, there's slight capacity in the battery to operate the switch, but not enough to drive the motor. So if we go over to the supply,
Why did you test the battery first before you tested the power supply?
I wanted to check that we had volts on the battery to make sure that it wasn't the motor or anything above the battery. Right. But there's no volts in the battery, so therefore it doesn't look as if it's charging. So if I'd have been really clever, I would have checked that first and I wouldn't have had to take it apart. But there you go, even I make mistakes.
Oh Lord.
So we now check to see whether we got any DC up here.
See, I can't get your angle. That's the issue with these things.
And you can, on the meter, no volts.
So DC test, there's no volts.
So there's no volts coming from the charger.
So it's probably just the charger.
Yeah. So what threw me was the blue light. One would assume if that's lighting up that you would have had volts, but there's not enough volts to drive the motor. There's no volts on there, so we now go back to our continuity test again. And check the primary on the charger, and there's no continuity, so the actual fault is the charger.
Right, how confident are you with this?
150.
150, okay. Is it possible that there is also a problem with the battery, and is there any way to test the battery at this stage?
But the fact that the blue light is flashing, I would think there is a capacity of some sort on the battery, but without charging the battery you can't. And that,
can you show it to the camera?
That is a specific shaped charger that fits in there, so only that will fit it. So I can't plug an external charge in there to see if I haven't got one of those.
So it's proprietary charging port and jack.
Yeah.
You can't use another one.
I haven't got one that will fit that, so I can check to see if the batteries will charge.
Right. So for argument's sake, it is going to be the power supply.
Well, the power supply is definitely faulty.
Right. But is there a small percentage chance that there's a problem with the battery? The flashing light is only residual charge in there, which means only after you swap the power supply for a brand new one, we'll be able to test the battery for 100%.
Once we get a power supply, we can check it 100% for sure.
I believe you may be able to find this power supply online, give or take.
Yeah, I would think so. Any Dyson spares you will find online, either Amazon or eBay or one of those will definitely have them for sure.
And in your estimate, it's about £110 brand new cost for this whole thing. If you spend about £20 to £25 on the charger, is it worth it?
I think so.
Yeah?
Yeah.
And that charger, can it be taken apart to test?
No.
Why is that?
It's all glued together. There's no access through screws or anything. It's just a sealed unit. And like a lot of these things today, it's all glued together and unable to test it.
So I suppose for funsies, if you do replace it, then you could just cut that through and see what's happening inside.
If you wish to, yeah. Okay. But then you wouldn't be able to put it back safely in an electrical sense.
Okay. Alright, any last words of advice for vacuum cleaner buyers?
Always buy a proprietary make, but then you can't get much more proprietary than Dyson. So,
any comments on the build quality on this product?
I'm concerned about the plastic. Really, it doesn't seem very robust. And in fact, where this is broken in a couple of places along there, but then I've never seen one of this type before to compare it with, but I'm not over enamoured with the plastic on it. It seems quite flimsy, but that's only my opinion.
Sure. So it's staying in stone, basically. Any last words, or are we done with this?
Yeah, I think we're done with that.
Fabulous. Thank you much.